So this is topic 5, wastewater treatment for the civil CE3702 Introduction to Environmental Engineering. Based on the definition of the environmental engineering, this topic falls under definition number 2, proper disposal of solid waste and wastewater. So in this case, wastewater has to be treated before we can discharge it for the proper disposal of those things. So that's what we are going to do in this topic. So this is the overview, topic 5 overview. This will cover the learning outcome number 2. 2.2 means characterize wastewater and recommend the best available technologies for physical, chemical, and biological treatment of wastewater. Whereas 2.1 covered the water part of it. So here at the outline, introduction, we'll do a little bit of introduction on that. Then the wastewater microbiology, we'll see like how the microbiology and the organism works for the wastewater treatment, role of microorganism, classification of microorganism. Then we'll see a little bit of the microbes that we are interested for the wastewater treatment, then bacterial biochemistry, and the decomposition of waste, because decomposition is very important to understand that. Then characteristics of domestic wastewater, physical characteristics, then chemical characteristics, then also a little bit of characteristics of industrial wastewater. Then we'll see on-site disposal. On-site disposal is basically with the septic tank and other things. Still, we allow those things under the rural conditions where the sewer line is not there. So it could be two types, without water carriage and with water carriage. Then municipal wastewater treatment systems, then unit operations of treatment, bar racks, grid chambers, communitors, and equalization basin. So these are the one would be under that. Then the primary treatment is mainly sedimentation, plain sedimentation that we discussed in water treatment area. So it could be very similar. So unit process of secondary treatment, we'll do a little bit of overview. Then we have 4 different types of secondary treatment process. All of them could be biological treatment process. Number 1 is trickling filters, activated sludge, then the oxidation pond, rotating biological contactor, RBC. So out of these 4, the trickling filter are still being used, but activated sludge are widely used. Oxidation pond is not that much used. RBC, as I said, I didn't see any in use before. Rest of them I have seen. Then we'll discuss about a disinfection. Disinfection has to be done before we can discharge the treated wastewater to the surface water. Then we'll see advanced wastewater treatment would be filtration, carbon adsorption, would be GAC and PAC, both phosphorus removal, and finally the nitrogen removal. So these are phosphorus, nitrogen are nutrients. We have to remove those to a certain extent to keep the water clean, in the surface water clean, so to avoid or to discourage the algae growth. Okay, so these are the learning outcomes. Looks like the identify or interpret the role of microorganism in the wastewater treatment, categorize domestic and industrial wastewater and suggest best available technology for wastewater treatment, define and design simple unit processes for preliminary or pre-treatment, primary treatment, secondary treatment, wastewater treatment. Discuss the concept and purpose of advanced wastewater treatment. So this would be the learning outcome for this topic, and this topic will align with the learning outcome of the course CLO, course learning outcome number 2, section 2.2.2-2. So under introduction, the wastewater treatment is very important that we have to do. Wastewater has historically been considered nuisance to be discarded in the cheapest, least offensive manner possible. This picture is showing that the wastewater being discharged, but they are not treated. So you see the color of the water here is really bad. So that means it's very brownish and other things. So this water is not good for any usage, any purpose of the usage. So then the typical wastewater treatment flowchart without tertiary looks like that. That means wastewater coming It will be preliminary treatment. Then preliminary treatment will have some grades. Then the primary treatment means plain sedimentation, like a water treatment process. Here, this would be removing 60% of suspended solid and 35% of BOD5. Does not remove any soluble pollutants. So then we go to the secondary. Secondary could be any one of the four treatment processes that we mentioned into the outline. So this will remove almost 85% of BOD5 and suspended solid, but it doesn't remove any significant amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, or heavy metals, nor does it completely remove pathogenic bacteria or viruses. Okay, then we'll have to do disinfection to remove the bacteria and viruses, and finally we can discharge it. So this is typical flow chart without tertiary treatment process. So this is something used to be allowed before, but nowadays it's not allowed. And this is the one with tertiary treatment. So this one has a very similar up to that point, secondary treatment, very similar. And after that, it has a tertiary treatment process. This process may include chemical treatment, filtration of wastewater, much like adding a typical water treatment plant to tail end of a secondary plant. Some of these processes can remove as much as 99% of BOD5, suspended solid, phosphorus, and bacteria, and 95% of nitrogen in here, because nitrogen and phosphorus removal are part of it here. Then we do the disinfection and goes here. So here are this process, we create the grids. Primary, we create the sludge. Secondary, create the sludge. Tertiary, also we create the sludge. So this is the flowchart with the tertiary treatment process. So role of microorganism. The microorganism convert the colloidal and the dissolved carbonaceous organic matter into various gases and into protoplasm. Means new cell. New cell could be there, carbon dioxide and could be methane or some other gases, carbon dioxide and water and other things, depending on what kind of system we are doing, aerobic or anaerobic. Protoplasm has specific gravity light. Unless protoplasm produced from the organic matter is removed from the solution, treatment will not be completed, as protoplasm itself is an organic and will be measured as BOD5 in the effluent. So classification is there are 5 broad groups: animal, plants, protozoa, and fungi. These are from biology. You guys can read it. I'm not going to probably read all of those. And the last one is the bacteria. Okay. So here are some examples of the bacteria: Salmonella, Escherichia coli, E. coli. By energy and carbon source. So based on the carbon source, the microorganism can be classified into 2 groups: heterotrophs and autotrophs. Heterotrophs use organic material as supply of carbon. Autotrophs use carbon dioxide to supply their carbon needs. Then based on the energy source, there are 4 different types. Phototrophs rely on the sun for energy supply. Chemotrophs extract energy from organic or inorganic oxidation reactions. Then organotrophs use organic matter as energy source. Lithotrophs oxidize inorganic compounds for energy. And by the relationship to oxygen, bacteria are classified based on their ability or inability to utilize oxygen as a terminal electron acceptor in oxidation reduction reaction. And these are obligate aerobes. Aerobic, we call it aerobic, must have an oxygen as a terminal electron acceptor. When wastewater contain oxygen, it can support obligate aerobes. It is called aerobic. And obligate anaerobes, cannot survive in the presence of oxygen. They cannot use oxygen as a terminal electron acceptor. They contain no oxygen is called anaerobic. Facultative can use oxygen as a terminal electron acceptor. Under certain conditions, they can also grow in absence of oxygen. So these are the 3 groups. So here are some of the anoxic conditions. A group of facultative aerobes, anaerobes called denitrifiers, utilize nitrites and nitrate as the terminal electron acceptor. The nitrate nitrogen is converted to nitrogen gas in absence of oxygen. This process is called the denitrification. So because of the denitrification, it can happen. I think denitrification, facultative aerobes can do denitrification process. Here, preferred temperature region, there are 4 types. Psychrophiles, those that grow best at temperature below 20. degrees Celsius. Mesophils is 25 to 40. Thermophils is 45 to 60. And stenothermophils, those that grow best temperature above 60 degrees Celsius. The growth rate of facultative thermophils extends from the thermophilic range into the mesophilic range. Bacteria, they are a little more of description who can do what. Highest population of microns in the wastewater treatment. They are single-celled. Heterotrophs are the most suitable for wastewater treatment. No particular species is selected as the best. And fungi, they are multicellular, non-photosynthetic and heterotrophic. They are obligate aerobes. Basically, fungi are aerobic that produce by a variety of methods, including fission, budding, and spore formation. Their cells require only half much of the nitrogen bacteria to do that. Okay, algae, they are photoautotrophs and maybe either unicellular or multicellular. And because of the chlorophyll contained in the most species, they produce oxygen through photosynthesis. In the absence of sunlight, the photosynthetic production of oxygen is greater than the amount used in the respiration. At night, they use up oxygen in respiration. Net production of oxygen daylight exceeds night hours. Protozoa, they are also single-celled organism, can produce by binary fission divided into two. Here are more explanation. Rotifers and crustaceans, they are animals, aerobic, multicellular, chemoheterotrophs. Rotifers derive its name from the apparent rotating motion of two sets of cilia on its head. The cilia provided mobility and mechanism for creating food. So here are more explanation on the rotifers and crustaceans. Crustaceans' presence is an indicative of a high level of dissolved oxygen and very low level of organic matter. So that means crustaceans live in high oxygen level conditions and other things. Here is the bacterial biochemistry. Looks like these are the different shapes. Bacteria come in variety of shapes here. Then metabolism. Metabolism is divided into two parts: catabolism and anabolism. Catabolism includes the biochemical process by which a substrate is degraded to the end product by decomposition process and release the energy. Anabolism includes all the biochemical processes by which a bacterium synthesizes new chemical compounds needed by the cell to live and reproduce. The synthesis process is driven by the energy that stored in the energy carrier. So here is the process. It shows this is the catabolism. Looks like electron acceptor, substrate means waste, come here, end products, whatever becomes, and creates some energy. Energy carrier carries basically ADP and ATP. Energy carrier goes to energy again. Raw materials, new cells is the anabolism. Decomposition of waste, basically three types of decomposition of waste. One is aerobic, anoxic, and anaerobic. So aerobic is basically same aerobic bacteria. Basically, oxygen is the electron acceptor. Carbon dioxide, odor, and new cells are created as an end product. Odor potential is very low because it doesn't create hydrogen sulfide and other materials. The ecosystem is very healthy system, and wastewater treatment dilute waste mainly. So these are more description on that. So I'm not going to go to all of those. So anoxic is usually nitrate is the used as an electron acceptor. It creates the end product nitrogen, carbon dioxide, water in bacterial cell. Odor potential is very low ecosystem, like upper hypolimnion, and wastewater treatment is denitrification that we mentioned before. Right, denitrification process. The end product from the denitrification are gas, carbon dioxide, water, and new cell material. So here is the anaerobic one, is carbon dioxide. Inorganic at the electron acceptor. End product methane, carbon dioxide, water, and bacterial cell. It could happen also some cases of hydrogen mercaptans. Okay, odor potential is very high. Ecosystem is sediments / stabilization is the main part in the wastewater treatment that we use the anaerobic process. Okay, here is the anaerobic decomposition. So it creates a lot of things: carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, organic compound that can be reduced to subterminal electrons. Sulfate results in a production of hydrogen sulfide and a group of equally odoriferous organic sulfur compounds called markup 10s. So this is the markup 10s, hydrogen sulfide. These are the one create the odorous problem. So we are going to stop here in this case and create a new one.